So anytime I would stay with my grandparents growing up, it was always one of two shows. It was the Andy Griffith Show or I Love Lucy. So kind of nostalgic for me? Is that weird? I guess not. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Brand new Aaron Sorkin film. Just got one last year with the trial of the Chicago 7, and now we have Being the Ricardos dropping in theaters this weekend and on Amazon Prime in a couple of weeks. So today I'm going to tell you guys if it's worth watching and whether or not this deserves a Best Picture nomination. Let's get into it. So Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz are threatened by shocking personal accusations, a political smear, and cultural taboos in Academy Award-winning writer and director Aaron Sorkin's behind-the-scenes drama, Being the Ricardos. This film is a revealing glimpse of the couple's complex romantic and professional relationship, and it takes audiences into the writer's room, onto the soundstage, and behind closed doors with Ball and Arnaz during one critical production week of their groundbreaking sitcom, I Love Lucy. And you see that? Well, at least I saw that, and I said, oh, we're getting kind of the making of I Love Lucy, at least a peek into that with all of this drama happening behind the scenes. And as familiar as I am with the show I Love Lucy, everything that happens in this film, not as much, right? So I'm not necessarily getting what the nostalgic part of me wanted to get a lot of the making of I Love Lucy, because there may be like 2 minutes of the movie, and I didn't look into this, but a very small amount of time spent on that. What this film is, it's essentially a character study on the real life Lucille Ball, how she's handling all of this pressure, these accusations that are monumental. I'm talking on a nationwide government-led scale against her, to where, you know, her fans, those who love and adore this series, I Love Lucy, they're seeing this, and there's a lot of hesitation there, right? But it's not only that, it's also exploring the relationship between she and Desi, kind of what's going on, the back and forth that's playing out behind the scenes. And then, unexpectedly, the film starts to give what was my favorite part of the movie, a perspective of her actual input into the show, I Love Lucy, kind of how she and the producers around her are writing this character, are trying their best to find the balance of what's happening behind and in front of the camera. And those are the moments when you can really feel the passion from the screenplay. And that's where I kind of want to start with this, handling an Aaron Sorkin screenplay, trying to dissect it scene by scene. And this is the case with all of his films, whether he directs them like he did this one or not. It's always a great experience because you're getting some incredible back and forth. And I'm talking banter between the characters. Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem, they are so good in this film. They have great chemistry. I'm not as caught up with the actual individuals, so what I was able to see here is them capturing what I believe they needed to capture, but I'm actually seeing some criticisms, like on Twitter, first thoughts, people seeing this movie. The embargo hasn't lifted yet while I'm recording this, and not a lot of people are there on some of the performances here. And while I thought Javier was good, he wasn't monumentally good, so I believe there is a small chance of a nomination there. I mean, he's Javier Bardem. He's always good in the role, but I expected, maybe top 5 performances of the year. But I do believe Nicole Kidman does exactly what she's trying to do here. Maybe 1 or 2 moments where I wasn't totally there. That has to do more with the execution of the film itself, but her performance was monumental. So this entire movie runs through those 2 performances with a great supporting cast. You have people like J.K. Simmons, who fits his character to a T. I love seeing him in an Aaron Sorkin film. Nina Arianda as Vivian is really good. Loved her relationship, the back and forth with Lucille. Tony Hale is great in this film as well, Jake Lacey. So where I fault that and where I have an issue with, everything coming together as a whole is the experience feels far more dull than it should, with so many things going on. And this building up of tension that, as it always does in an Aaron Sorkin movie, kind of comes to a head at the end. And he's trying to evoke an emotional response from all of these things slowly coming together and then culminating at the end. And because my investment level just wasn't there with the filmmaking and what he was trying to bring us with all of these things going on, I did not feel that emotion at the end, and I was not invested. Have you ever watched a movie and appreciated so many elements, from the dialogue to the performances, but something about it just wasn't resonating with you, and I'm shocked because I thought for sure it would have. One moment in particular where Lucille and Vivian, they're having a conversation about writing Lucy as a character, making her seem smarter and balancing that with what the audience wants. And that was riveting, right? But there are so many things going on in this movie, from the accusations against her to her relationship with her husband to what I just mentioned, the behind-the-scenes drama with the movie, and then trying to balance that with the making of, and the conversations between the characters. They are interesting at points. And getting to see a little bit of that movie magic, or in this case, TV magic, the making of. I'm always a huge fan of the behind-the-scenes aspects of things that I love, or even things that I'm, brand new to. That was cool, but I needed more from the story itself, and it feels scattered. And this is where I start to fault the screenplay just a little bit, is the balance is off. And I never fully understood what the film was trying to focus on because there were so many things at play, but not one thing had my full attention. Some more than others, but there are a couple of subplots that I got a bit bored of. And I hate to use that word because it's such a lazy criticism. But the film was so dull, I just wasn't all the way there on certain subplots. And then you look at the movie from a visual perspective, and it plays it so safe. From the cinematography to the color correction, it's fine. Nothing about the technical elements are bad, but nothing about them stood out either. So I don't see cinematography, I don't see editing, maybe production design, just because it does capture the set at points of I Love Lucy, and possibly hair and makeup, but otherwise, on a technical level, and it could be my fault, it's Aaron Sorkin. I put him on a pedestal. I expect all of his films to reach that mark, and while this one is technically sound, and there's so many good elements about it, it never fully came together and hit those emotional beats. So before I give you guys my score, I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you want to support this channel, click that thumbs up down below. That helps me more than anything, and leave your comment. My question for you guys is, does it deserve a Best Picture nomination? Come back and let me know once you see it. Being the Ricardos is a fascinating true story, and the cast is incredible. Kidman and Bardem specifically are great, but the movie is much less compelling than the story itself. I was never fully invested, as the film is never quite sure what it wants to be. I'm going a 55% with Being the Ricardos. It's a film that I can appreciate on certain levels, but it was a disappointment for me at the end of the day, so I need to know what you guys think down below. Are you watching this movie when it drops on Amazon, in theaters? It's definitely at least worth checking out, in my opinion. A lot to appreciate, so I'm curious to see where you guys fall. I'll see you soon.